Angel Michael said, I'm getting, oh, just a minute. I feel you. Yeah, he's a powerful energy. And
Okay. Where we dive into many aspects of our spiritual journey. This is a conversation between my own friend, and I thought it would be wonderful to share it with all of you.
and so it's, you do start to understand the pieces. The angels brought through the pieces. It's all to do with with the chakra system. It's all together. It's all together. And when we understand that, it is so powerful. And I'm just starting to skim the surface of the understanding. But as I have begun to understand how much my ego, how often my ego makes decisions that are exactly what my higher self wants. My higher self wants me or enjoy, okay, that isn't exactly right because the higher self isn't saying this is better than that. So let me just feel into that for just a minute. As I take a step on this journey that is due north being exactly in the direction that I chose prior to coming into this incarnation. When I take those steps, and that is when I am in complete alignment. When we are walking in the direction that we chose prior to coming forth, that's due north, whatever, do
Yep.
something.
Right,
Okay?
right.
When the ego helps us to make a decision, like think of all the things that went into our call. There was a text or an email, there was a little back and forth. I can't use email without my ego. Ego puts things in line.
Mhm.
Ego gives us linear time. Ego helps us prioritize.
Mhm.
And so we looked, we said, here's a period of time. Let's do a Zoom call. Got that nudge. Phew. The ego helped me make all of this flow come into fruition. That's my ego. I love and adore my ego. Sometimes out of fear, the ego gets a little a little crazy,
A
a
little
little cray,
triggered.
a little cray cray, and starts being like, oh, da, 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 da. And so now I've learned to turn to that part of who I am and say, okay, I know you're feeling afraid about something. What are you worried about? What are we feeling afraid of? And figuring that out and then being like, okay, giving the reassurance and sometimes saying, I need you to just be quiet.
Yeah.
Ego, I love you, but I need you to be quiet. We're okay. We're okay. We've done enough today. We don't have to do it all today. It's okay. We can do some tomorrow. We will. I promise. And creating that relationship. It's just as awkward and stilted and weird as when I first started this relationship with my inner child. And now my relationship with my inner child is as easy to me as breathing.
Yeah.
The relationship with my ego eventually will be that, and the same thing with my body. That's what we want. That's my intention is I want it to be that. Okay, I'm getting information. What's the information from? Oh, okay. Sift through it, make a decision. Okay, honor that. How does it feel? That's where I want to be. That's my intention.
Yeah. Such a perfect intention. And, breaking down those language barriers between what we perceive to be different parts or compartments
Right.
of our sense of self is a pretty interesting study.
I think I think what I understand and through they've given me a lot of stuff that's going to go into this class. And I think that for me and probably for most people, I'm a holistic learner. I tend to go from the whole to the piece. In this, the guides knew because I was so challenged at bringing through the angels, period. That was a huge, hard thing for me when that happened. I hadn't ever channeled entities by name, or what I had was just itty tiny little bit, and I
Yeah.
didn't think about it too much because it freaked me out. And at that time, these angels were coming through. So they came through, and I I know that I channeled as best as I could at that time, being so overwhelmed,
I
and
can't even imagine.
it was an incredible thing. But I brought through really good stuff, and as I brought it through, I would look at it and I would be like, wow, holy crap on a crack, you know. Now I'm beginning to, and going through the book club was amazing for me. It was amazing for me. It taught me so much. It took me to a whole new level of understanding of the whole thing. I could hear them in my heart and in my mind. It was so cool.
Isn't that
And
neat?
oh, so neat. And when it ended, that was when it was like, ah, okay, now we need. Angel Michael said, I'm getting, oh, just a minute. Oh, I feel you. Yeah, he's a powerful energy. And he said he was going to facilitate bringing it as a whole, understanding it all as a whole. That in the process of doing the book club, I finally, they were able to show me the correlation between Angel Sarah and the root chakra being the physicality,
Mhm.
and the so on. Those three being our humanity. And the others, the from the heart up, that's the connection to the light. And they've brought through so much in the understanding of that. Oh my gosh, like it's okay. I know I'm babbling.
No, I'm
It's
totally
just so
in.
much. Oh my God, it's just so much. So remember how Angel Celestina explained she was the angel of words. Now I can understand that's what I could get. That's the best that I could get. She's the angel of understanding. She's the angel of understanding. There's a difference. To be able to understand a concept, I know this is big because it's you know how I've described this before, like there's the pieces of the puzzle
Yeah.
and they're floating. The pieces haven't come together with this yet, but they've been given me pieces of this. It doesn't take words to it doesn't always take words to understand. We can have understanding through body language, we can have understanding through touch, through expression. All of that understanding, the understanding is the throat chakra. I I'm sure they're going to give me more and more around that, but
Fascinating.
it isn't, because I got when they were bringing this through, I got stuck here because I said, well, isn't this our human body? It's the voice box and stuff. And they actually said, yes, we understand that perspective, but the physicality is your body. Yes, that is Angel Sarah. That's your physicality. The understanding is facilitated by Angel Celestina. The balancing of this chakra, the cleansing and the tending to this chakra has to do with the concept of understanding, being able to bring a knowing into your psyche and have you able to understand it. It's a it is very different than just words.
It's amazing because this is huge.
It is
As you
huge.
know, I have my issues with the throat chakra, issues
Oh,
meaning fascination
oh,
with
I hadn't even thought about that.
this
Yeah.
particular chakra. And so my perception of this is so helpful because my perception has been what you just said, that I have considered it to be outward expression. This is me expressing into the world through this chakra. This is me being heard.
Pause.
I was saying this is
Excuse me.
huge because I, as you know, have really been practicing with the chakras and having a lot of fun with it, by the way, and having some really cool experiences, which makes it fun. You want to keep practicing. But my understanding of the throat chakra has been different. You know, it has been that it is about outward expression. This is how I express myself in the world. This is a clean, clear, balanced, healthy throat chakra means I am expressing clearly and I am being heard and I am being understood. And now you're flipping that and saying, no, actually, well, part of it is understanding, not just being understood through expression, but understanding, which means that it's coming through here and then it gets to here, which is, that makes sense.
And it's both. It's both. I hadn't thought about the expression part of it. That what they have brought through, maybe I have. I'm not sure, but I can tell you the way my jaws are going, that it is absolutely both. Let
You think
say
about
that. Say that in
Merkaba,
a whole sentence, Sue. Say
okay,
say what the both is.
I'm going to tell you what's on my mind this second.
Yep.
What I'm imagining is the Merkabas of both. The both parts, the upward facing triangle and the downward facing triangle is what's in my thought.
Yes.
That it's that exchange of receiving the knowledge and the understanding through the crown chakra and down, and then through the throat chakra, being able to express it.
That is true. It isn't quite all though. Give me just a minute. I'm getting hit. A big wave when you said the Merkaba. So what are you trying to tell us? It is indeed both, dear ones, as you are thinking, the expression. You are getting a bit tripped up when you're thinking about the expression is the physical ability, and it indeed is, to write, to speak, to sing, to be able to express oneself, but also the understanding that one expresses oneself. I'm seeing in my mind's eye the ballerina, the beautiful dancer that can express emotion through movement. The expression, the glory of the ability to express oneself is a part of the physical experience of life. If the human body did not have the breath of life, if there wasn't the ability for the movement, for the words, the sounds to come through, there would not be the ability to express. But what we would clarify a bit at this time for you both is that expression does not require understanding. Think of the individual very mired in their 3D experience, expressing harsh, all of the kinds of things with their body, with their words, with their actions, expressing That is expression, is it not? We're trying to help you to find that very, very thin difference between that and the energy of this chakra of to be able to express one's divinity, to be connected to the understanding of it. Because you can use words that spout nonsense, or you can use words that will change a nation in a single speech. Do you hear the difference, dear ones? The glory of another thing to thank this beautiful vehicle for is that you can express in this world with your writing, with your speech, with your song, with your dance, with your actions, you can express. But to come from that place of understanding, true understanding, understanding who you are and what you stand for, understanding the connection, understanding the communication that you receive. Even as this one is cutting it into pieces and shining the light on where does the expression come from. Think of that, dear one. The communication from the body in the tummy hurting. That is expression, is it not? The emotions that are attached to things, expression. But understanding is that place of isness, the place of complete and total knowing. That is the throat chakra. Just saying that's enough for now. It's they're building on this understanding. They're just building on it. Oh, I think, did you mute yourself?
I did. I didn't want to
Okay.
have any dinging while they were here. But I think that goes back to what you were saying earlier, Kelly, that the because of the physical location of the throat chakra,
Yes.
it's just so easy to associate it with speech, words, you know what I
Right.
mean? That sort of
Right.
expression that we associate with the throat. That's a whole new way of looking at that.
Whole new way of looking at it,
Yeah.
of understanding it.
Yeah.
The reason that they're breaking that apart was because I wanted this was my ego brain. I am getting pretty good at deciding what thing's coming from what. I think it is anyway. I wanted that clear yellow brick road of connection in the top three chakras. I wanted that. That was such an epiphany when I realized those bottom three chakras were our divinity. I mean, were our humanity. That was like, because the moment that was the coolest moment was when I'm like, oh my God, this is the body with the red. Oh, I can completely see this is the inner child, the way they explained it. I completely get it. But how is Angel Casil the ego? That doesn't make any sense at all. And I Googled it. And when I Googled it, yes, the solar plexus, the power, the personal power, all of that, that is that chakra. And I'm like, oh my God, it really is. So I wanted it to be that kind of thing. And it may eventually, but when my human head, my thinking mind wanted words and thought, that made very good sense. this being the gatekeeper, that I could kind of, yeah, that I could kind of make sense, but that is not it. It is understanding, it is intuition, and it is the gatekeeper. It is, I'm not sure what more they're going to give me about that. It is that the crown chakra is that point in the system where the amount, that's when they gave me adjust, bless, attune. It's Abba. Adjust, bless, attune, and balance. That this chakra has to do with that for the
Say that again.
whole.
Adjust, balance it, and
It's Abba. So it's 2 A's and 2 B's.
okay.
That ain't right. It's oh no, it's Baba. That's it. Bless, attune. I knew I had a thing to help me remember. So how good that was. It's bless, attune, balance, and adjust.
Ah,
In
okay.
that part of our book, Angel Raphael brings through that. That was the very beginning of them talking to me about the energy hygiene.
Yeah.
That was when that all first started to come in, the understanding around that. So yeah, I mean it's pretty cool. It's a lot of new understanding. Now I just have to figure out I don't have to. As I say that, I'm like, nope, I don't have to figure it out. I will know exactly when it's time. I am working with this material, putting it together the way that it feels good. I'll know what the next step is when the time comes.
I mean, that's the juicy stuff.
It is.
You know, when it just keeps showing up and
Mhm.
it's the right time and you know, you're able to hear it when you can hear it. Great. I want to share an experience I had yesterday that's a little slightly off topic,
That's
but
okay. I'd love to
well,
hear it.
you know my feelings about the chakra system. And when I talk about what we're not teaching children, that's what I'm referring to. It, as I've said to you in the past, to me, it feels like that is one of the most gifted lessons we can give kids is this awareness that they have this built-in energy system, as I said to you, like a rainbow stick. And starting to teach them at a very young age how they can be in relationship with that system, to me feels very, very important. But the other thing being, in my opinion, teaching children to ask themselves, or not even to ask themselves, but suggest that they chose to be here. You know, at a very young age, to have some ownership of that, you know, to claim your prize of getting to come have this great experience. So I was, speaking of kids, I was on the beach the other day. I lived near the beach, and I was just sitting down listening to the slushing of the tide. And you know, summer's pretty much gone, so the beach is empty, but there was a mom and looked like a grandmother and a small child of maybe 3 or 4 years old. And it was just, you know, fun to be watching, people watching in general, but seeing this little child nurtured by these two women, so excited to build a sandcastle. So she's, you know, trucking back and forth to the water, which wasn't too far away, and scooping, packing, building. And so the three of them are building a pretty substantial kingdom. I would say many towers, turrets. They were decorating this thing with all of the fancy seashells and seaweed, and it was quite impressive. There was, you know, collaboration. They were building. Well, you could see that it was getting to be time to go, and they started to pack up. And this little girl went and started kicking over the castle. And so my ego, my human mind is horrified. I'm like, what is happening? We don't do that. We just don't, you don't just knock down a perfectly good castle. I was really having a moment of serious discomfort with this and watching. And I think, you know, in my mind, I'm thinking, this child probably needs a therapist. That's all of my own
Right?
talk, fear of like, how do we overcome that um, need to just keep everything together? Once we create something, to keep it safe, to keep it strong, and to make it permanent, that it has to be there forever. This child had more joy, I think, in knocking this thing down than she did in building it. And I had to really take a moment to process that and to watch that in a joyful way. But as they were leaving the beach, I thought, children are not worried. She thinks she can come back tomorrow and build another castle.
She knows she can.
She knows she can come
She
back
knows she
tomorrow
can.
and build another castle.
That's
She's
right.
not afraid yet
Right.
of this business of,
That's right.
once you make something beautiful, it has to stay there forever. And I think
Right.
that's where we get stuck in our lives so often, is we're
Indeed.
afraid to knock things over. It feels
Right.
very unnatural for us to do that, but we can do it with joy, with the trust that we can rebuild, that we get to experience again the joy of creating another castle. So,
Do you know what they whispered in my mind as you were saying that?
but
Your videos. And I went, oh my God.
yeah, yeah.
Like, let them be gone. There's more wisdom coming. There's more whatever. It's like, that's exactly that feeling of, oh my God, it's mine. I got to keep it. I got to keep it. No, no, you don't. There's more.
You
There's
get to keep
always more.
the joy that you had in that moment.
That's right.
And I think that's
That's
really
right.
important, that that child left the beach with the castle.
In their
She
heart.
gets to
That's right.
take with her that memory, that
Right.
experience of creating that with her mom and her grandmother 4 feet from the beach in the sunshine. That doesn't ever go away.
That's right.
Physical, whatever manifested there is gone, but the energy went with her for sure.
Yeah. That ability to create like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
And all the things you described, the nurturing, the collaboration, all of that. That's all still there. That doesn't go away.
exactly.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting? That's really interesting.
Yeah.
You know, I tend, I think being human, I tend to sometimes think, am I on the right track with this thinking? Is this thinking on the right track? Like I have any choice about stuff, quite frankly. But um, I, when you talk about, we should be teaching children this and blah, those kinds of statements, my heart goes to the place of a knowing that all of the generations are being brought in more wired already.
Yes.
Already.
Yeah.
Everybody, I worked in vocational education, so oh my gosh, nobody wants to work. Nobody wants to work. The work ethic in these kids. And I, in my heart, I thought, my father worked in a mill for 30 years, hating every day of it because it put food on the table and because of fear that he couldn't do what he loved to do and feed his family. No, I don't. Why do I want to instill that in my children? My Corey has bought the business from his father. And Michael, yeah, so Michael's still having to work with him. He promised to help him for a while, but it's hard for Michael because Michael was cut out of that. He's 64. That generational thinking of work comes first. If I can work and make $1, that's what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm the man. I'm supposed to be making money. Well, my Corey is much more in tune. He hasn't figured himself out yet. I can't wait until he does because he's a powerful being, but because he hasn't embraced the whole of who he is, he's still in that whatever stage. But anyway, that's another story. Corey took a day off last week in the middle of the week. Michael just about had a friggin' fit. Hey, so you could be getting this done or that done, right? Why isn't he doing that? And I'm just, I'm yeah. What I don't argue because I'm not going to have that conflict in my life. But in my head, I'm thinking, good for you, Corey. Good for
Yeah.
you. Good for
Yeah.
you. Now I know he suffered from guilt the next step on his evolution is having the day off without guilt.
Mhm.
He does prioritize, he does do, but then I know that he struggles because hears his father's voice in his head. Why the hell aren't you to work? What the hell are you doing? What are you doing riding around? I know but do you know what I now really know? Is I know the perfection of all of that. I know the perfection of it. It gives them both. It gives Michael the opportunity to learn to allow the people around him to make their own decisions. It gives Corey the opportunity to excavate his father's voice out of his head. He either will or he won't. Michael either will or he won't, but it's all perfect. It's
Yes.
all perfect. And so I don't have these big strong feelings of like I should be doing this to help the world or I should be doing this to help people. I don't feel that. And I asked just recently, honestly, Sue, just recently I said, is something missing in my head that I don't feel this big tremendous drive to help the world? I don't. I see the world as perfect. And so I don't know if I'm off or if I'm ahead of the curve. I don't know. It kind of seems like it's got to be one or the other. But I think about how my religious time, it
Oh,
was
yeah.
all about saving the world.
Oh, yeah.
It was
I
all
know.
about fixing the broken. It was all about going in and helping.
And it's your obligation to do that.
Oh, and my absolutely. And God's watching and he's crying if I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
And so I have asked myself this question just recently. Is this because of my of that, letting go and transmuting that?
Right.
But I feel really strongly that doesn't change my actions. I still do the things that has the potential to help people. I do stuff, but my motivation isn't around helping anybody. I don't know how
Right.
to explain that. Isn't that a weird thing?
Oh, it totally makes sense. It totally makes sense to me. And I think it is, once you have an understanding of, again, as you said, that perfection, that each individual, whether they're in a war-torn zone or, living in a castle down here on the beach,
Right.
um, that is that is perfect. And it's not up to us, you, me, or both of us, or all of us to go
All of us.
intervene and
Right.
impose our version of what is right,
Exactly.
wholeness and wellness. It's
Exactly.
also interesting, again, going back to like how we define helping the world, because from where I sit, you just being you and sharing it is actually helping the world.
That's what I feel too.
Yeah. So it's not
I'm
this,
on, it's my journey. This is how they say it in my head, and I've said it out loud 1,000 times. It's my journey. I'm shining my light. And if my light is bright enough to shine and cast out some of the shadows for you, and you're able to come ahead a little bit, I'm tickled to death that
yeah,
that's the truth. But it's
yeah,
not my motivation. My motivation is my journey.
yeah.
Putting these things together, doing that. I know, oh my God, this whole thing with the book, I know I'm being called to do a book club with it because of how impactful the first one was. That
So
I,
much.
that I know that when I go through that, and I'm going to, if it's the right word, to publicize or advertise or whatever, this is for the people who aren't where we are. I want the people that are, it's for us too. I know it will be juicy for us too, but it also will help those people that are beginning on their journey to realize where I am now and where I was only a short period of time ago, to be so immersed. I mean, the whole thing, how often they would bring the bum on the street into my mind, into my things. Oh, it's just amazing. It's amazing, and I know it's amazing, and I know it's what's supposed to happen. What I can't quite see is the how, but I don't have to. That's what I'm practicing.
Again, I'm just going to say this. It is your way of helping the world. Even, your process through this, you are doing this and you're speaking this so that you can reach a wider audience,
Right,
and
right,
that's
right.
that's your way of helping the world. I had a, as you know, I write every day, and oftentimes I have,
You're a beautiful writer.
thank you. And
Yeah.
oftentimes I have descriptions of inanimate objects demonstrating, very complex emotions. It helps me to process things. But something
Okay.
you were just saying about shining your light made me remember something I'd written about some time ago, where, this idea of being a light in the darkness has just never resonated with me. There's just something about it that doesn't appeal to me. It doesn't feel, again, there's no resonance, but being a light in the light has a totally different connotation. Like, I'm more than happy to shine my light. I just find it to be much more exciting and beneficial for me to be shining among other lights. The other thing, to create a bigger light, so to speak, instead of
Interesting.
just being, a beam of light shooting around in the darkness. That doesn't work. Um, but also the idea of, if you're a lighthouse, it wouldn't make any sense to shut down your own light to go travel across to the other side of the bay to help somebody else keep their light on. All kinds of shit can happen while you're not tending to your own lighthouse.
That's
So
right.
we look at it that way, as like, that is my job. My job is to keep this
Right.
lit
Right.
up
Lit
and
up.
figure
Amen,
out
sister.
what is the fuel, what is the fuel
Right.
that keeps this lit up.
Right.
That feels important. And I'm like, oh, I can do that.
Yes.
I can do
Abs-
that.
yes.
I'll figure that out. If I have to look at all these other lighthouses that are flickering, that freaks me out and I can feel overwhelmed. But if I'm just worried about this, I can do this.
That's it. Oh my God. You just nailed it. That's perfect. That's exactly right. When I get out of balance is when I'm looking at the other lights that are flickering.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. I've never thought about it exactly like that. But this journey and that, there are so many. I think about how many people are on YouTube now compared to 2.5 years ago when I started. There was like five or six. And now there's, oh my God, there's dozens and dozens and dozens of channels. This is coming online for people. And it's real. It
Yeah.
is literally coming online for people. I truly get it. I understand. And I feel like a big part of what if I were going to call it a calling, a slice of it is about being human and grounded, and while this is all going on, living my 3D life, being a wife, mother, grandmother, all those things, while this journey between me and the world is happening. I have a journey between myself and my 3D life, my immediate whatever. That is one part of who I am, but I also have a part that is myself and the world. And I think that part of my isness has a value for the people who are going to make a much greater impact than what I'm going to make. And
Interesting.
I'm perfectly okay with all of that. I'm 62 years old. I've been married all these years. Michael is he's coming right up. He's got to weigh in up here at the top. And he's a needy son of a gun. He just is, and he always has been. But it's not fair to change the rules. It's okay to maneuver. It's all right for us to grow, and we are. But I have to keep for my own knowing that I'm on the right track. It's got to be in a way that feels good. It doesn't have to feel good to Michael, but he's got to be able to be okay with it. And so, because the doing of this ability can become overwhelming
Sure.
because there are so many things to share. There's so many things that I could be doing to put this out. There's the business side of it.
Yeah.
I I don't that's not my bag. But the guides have also brought some very heavy hitters into my world that just love me and are just helping me. Period. And so I've got I've got some wonderful support around these
That's amazing.
kinds of things that I don't have to that I don't even have to decide about. It's like with Angie. Angie is now creating in this probably in this very moment, because it's Sunday. I wouldn't be surprised if she's working on it. She's creating my website now right from the ground up, a brand new website.
Amazing.
And we're going to have memberships.
Yeah.
And I don't exactly understand all that, but she's creating it so that I'll be able to have my classes. And, I don't know if everything is going to go on under the umbrella, or if even my classes will, or if most stuff, and then you'll just do classes separate. I'm going to follow the guidance of I have Nick in Finland and I have Angie. They are very, very strong, powerful business people that love me, and I know that want nothing more than for my highest good. So when I was trying to decide, first of all, it was about the membership. The guides gave me before I was getting onto a call with Nick. Nick has been just like a steady, sweet little breeze. He has been laying it down for a year. Memberships, memberships, memberships. And I'd be like, no, I want to be able to sell a video on my website. Make it happen. And he's helped me on that journey. I still haven't gotten there, but we've been on the journey to that, but it's different than this membership thing. And we're going to have a conversation. And before I get on, my guide said, we brought you this man who is so brilliant, such a good businessman, and he's trying to tell you something, and you're not listening.
Mhm.
Why aren't you listening, Kelly? Why aren't you listening? And I thought, huh. And so I get on the phone call with him, and he, in his sweet, gentle way, he said, can I just tell you this one thing? And I just looked at him and I said, I need you to know something. And he's like, what? And I said, I'm over it. I'm ready to do the memberships. If you want me to do memberships, that's what we're going to do. And he's like, okay, then let me explain this to you. And he went on in his sweet, sweet way and helped me to understand some of the aspects of it and stuff. And
Well, it
then,
is. It's
yeah,
amazing. It's such a
it,
complex
oh, it
weave,
is.
the technology.
The technology. That's been the hardest part of it all.
Yeah, I
When I
have
sat down with that friggin' book and a one YouTube video that took me, I had the manuscript all written, and it took me step by step. The video was only 16 minutes, and it covered how to do the ebook and how to do the paperback on KDP. It was so easy. Click,
unbelievable.
click, 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 and there I was with a
Unbelievable.
brand new, beautiful book.
That's incredible.
It was incredible. It's because it's perfect timing.
Yeah, it's
It's when
perfect
it's
timing.
time.
Yeah, and
It's
it's what
when
you
it's time.
needed. Yeah, yeah,
It just is. It's incredible.
amazing.
Oh my goodness. It's such a wonderful, exciting world.
It is an exciting